Hi, I hope you enjoy this short video I'm calling the Mood Boosting Toolkit. My name is Jon Krop, and I teach mindfulness and meditation. My main focus is working with lawyers and other legal professionals because I'm a lawyer myself, but I've taught all sorts of people, and these practices are helpful for anyone. Okay, let's get started. A lot of the advice I give around mindfulness and well-being and how to thrive in difficult situations, a lot of that advice centers around accepting discomfort and not fighting negative emotions. And that is an important point. We do create a lot of unnecessary suffering by trying not to feel the uncomfortable parts of our own experience. So accepting discomfort, accepting negative emotions, that is key. That said, it is nice to experience positive emotions when they come around. Positive emotions feel good. So yes, it's important to work on accepting negative emotions, but if there are easy, effective ways to cultivate positive emotions, it would be silly not to do those. The good news is there are. So what we're going to do is identify 3 mental habits that research has shown to improve your mood, increase the experience of positive emotions, and develop overall well-being. And then I'll share some simple strategies for cultivating those habits. The 3 mental habits I'm talking about are gratitude, goodwill, and generosity. Now, when it comes to these habits, we've sort of lucked out in 2 ways that I can see. One is that they're relatively easy to develop. So these are low-hanging fruit. The benefits are easy to obtain. The other way in which we're lucky is that generosity, gratitude, and goodwill are the sorts of qualities that we associate with being a good person. People with those qualities make other people feel good. They treat people well. People like spending time with them. So this is really a win-win because the mental habits that bring us happiness and well-being also turn us into the sort of people that bring happiness and well-being to others. So let's take a look at these 3 mental habits, and we'll start with gratitude. Research suggests that gratitude has a massive impact on mental health and well-being. In fact, there's some suggestion that among emotional states, gratitude might be uniquely correlated with well-being. Studies indicate that grateful people are happier, less stressed, and less prone to anxiety or depression. They cope more effectively with problems, they're more satisfied with their relationships, and apparently they even sleep better. It's possible to cultivate this quality of gratitude through practice, as if you were exercising a muscle. So I'd like to share 2 simple methods for doing that. Both of these methods come from Dr. Martin Seligman, the founder of positive psychology. The first method, and you may have heard of this one, is to keep a gratitude journal. I cannot recommend this practice enough. It's easy to do, it doesn't take a lot of time, but Dr. Seligman and others have found that it brings powerful benefits that last. And on a personal note, it has been incredibly beneficial for me. So here's how you keep a gratitude journal. At the end of each day, write down 3 things that went well that day. That's it. And each one could be a sentence if that's all you feel like writing. If you want to add a bit of extra power to the gratitude journal, it's even more effective if, in addition to the 3 things that went well, you also write down why each of those good things happened. So for instance, if one of your 3 things is, I cooked a great meal with my family today, then your reason why that happened might be because we made an effort to find activities that we could all enjoy together. If you keep up this gratitude journal practice, it trains you so that you become more prone to noticing and appreciating the positive things in life and less prone to focusing on and dwelling on the negative things. By the way, I do this practice a little bit differently. So this is not sanctioned by Dr. Seligman, but what I do is I keep a real-time gratitude journal. Instead of doing it at the end of the day, I have a list that I keep on my phone, broken up by day, and whenever something good happens to me, I don't wait. I jot it down right there and then. And I also don't limit myself to 3 things. This might just be me, but my sense is that for me, doing the gratitude journal in real time has been even better at training me to appreciate the good things in life as they happen. So that's the gratitude journal. Now, the second practice I want to share is called the gratitude visit. This usually involves visiting someone in person, but I'm recording this during the coronavirus pandemic, so obviously we can't do that right now. But what you can do is just modify this practice to be a gratitude video chat or a gratitude phone call instead of an in-person visit. Here's how you do it. Think of someone who has shown you incredible kindness in your life, preferably someone you've never fully thanked. Write that person a short letter expressing your gratitude toward them. Write down what this person did for you, how it affected you, how it made your life better, how that made you feel, and really don't hold back. You want to express the full measure of your gratitude toward this person. Then reach out to that person and say you'd like to have a video chat or a phone call with them. You don't have to explain why. You can just say there's something you want to share with them or that you'd like to catch up. And then on your video chat or on your phone call, tell them you have something you'd like to read to them and just read the letter aloud. I should warn you, there's a pretty good chance someone will cry because this practice can be very powerful and affecting. So now you know 2 methods for cultivating this healthy mental habit of gratitude. And as between the 2, research indicates that the gratitude visit leads to a higher boost in happiness, while the gratitude journal has benefits that last longer. But luckily, you don't have to choose. You can just do both. Let's move on to goodwill. And when I say goodwill, I'm referring to a specific mental state, and that's the heartfelt wish for others to be happy. As far as I know, the first people to identify that specific state and to systematically explore it were the early Indian Buddhists about 2,500 years ago. And they gave this state the name metta, M-E-T-T-A, metta, the heartfelt wish for others to be happy. For whatever reason, the word metta is often translated into English as loving kindness. But actually, the word metta translates more accurately to something like goodwill or friendliness. So I just call it goodwill. Now, those early Buddhists found that through certain forms of meditation practice, it's possible to cultivate this state of goodwill and to increase your capacity for goodwill. And that if you do that, you become less prone to negative emotions like anger, frustration, hostility, impatience, and the way that you treat people starts to change for the better, and your own happiness and well-being increase. In recent years, scientists have studied these goodwill meditation practices and found that the benefits are very real. So the research indicates that these practices decrease depressive symptoms, increase your experience of positive emotions, and they appear to improve well-being even when you're confronted with the distress of others. Goodwill meditation is a great example of how taking an interest in other people's well-being is good for your own well-being. And the Dalai Lama puts this beautifully. He likes to say, if you want to be selfish, be wisely selfish. Care for others. So I'd like to share a full goodwill meditation, but we don't really have time for that in this short session. So what I'm going to do is give you a quick on-the-go version of this goodwill meditation, and we'll do a fuller version another time. And actually, it's pretty useful to know how to do this practice on the go. Here's what you do. Whenever you encounter people, in person or virtually, take a moment to silently wish them well by saying in your mind, "May you be happy." That's it. May you be happy. When you log on to a video chat or a video meeting, if you have a moment before you need to start talking, or if there's a pause during the conversation, just take that moment to silently say, "May you be happy." If you're looking out your window and you see someone outside, "May you be happy." Right? So just get in the habit of silently wishing people well. Friends, family members, strangers, and doing that will cultivate this healthy habit of goodwill. If you're curious what the fuller, more formal goodwill meditation is like, it involves bringing different people to mind and wishing them well in a systematic way. So you start with people that you love, wishing them well, then you move on to people you're less close with, and eventually you move on to wishing well to people you've had problems with. So that's how the full practice goes. And if you want to learn more about goodwill meditation or metta meditation, you can check out the work of Sharon Salzberg, especially her book, Loving Kindness. Now let's move on to the third healthy mental habit, generosity. Just like with goodwill, there are ancient roots to the idea that being generous toward others will improve your own well-being. The great meditation teacher Siddhartha Gautama, more popularly known as the Buddha, was quoted as saying, "If beings knew, as I know, the results of giving and sharing, they would not eat without having given." And in fact, whenever Siddhartha taught his particular spiritual path and his style of meditation to ordinary people, his first lesson was always about the importance of generosity. He actually taught that before he even taught them to meditate. And modern science reinforces this idea. Studies have shown that engaging in various forms of giving, whether it's giving time, effort, money, goods, that giving is associated with better health and even a longer lifespan. And then on top of that, there is a large and growing body of research showing that practicing generosity improves well-being and possibly other aspects of mental health as well. Since we're all doing our best to stay home, our options for practicing generosity are a little more constrained than usual, but there are still plenty of ways to do it. And it's more important than ever, really, because this world and the people in it need generosity right now. We need to look out for each other. So I'd like to suggest a few ways that you can practice generosity even during this period of social distancing. If you can afford to, I encourage you to give to initiatives providing relief to the people most impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. There are organizations that provide food and other forms of aid to frontline healthcare workers. There are programs offering support for people and families who are suffering financially as a result of the economic shutdown. And giving to those efforts is a wonderful way to practice generosity. That being said, I'd also recommend contributing in more personal ways. There is research indicating that when you practice generosity in a targeted way, meaning you give to identifiable individuals rather than to a broad class of people, that yields an additional benefit. Targeted giving appears to be associated with reduced activity in a part of the brain called the amygdala, which suggests that it can reduce anxiety. So, while maintaining social distancing, you might reach out to your neighbors and see if there's anything that they need. Or if you know someone who might be a little isolated right now or a little lonely, could be nice to check up on them, see if they'd like to catch up sometime. If you're getting food delivered and you can afford to tip generously, that is an act of generosity that involves giving money, but giving money in a targeted way. And frankly, delivery people really deserve it right now. In your own home, you can go out of your way to be generous with the people you're living with. Offer to make dinner, or handle the laundry, or the dishes. Do more than your fair share now and then, if you can. I'll just leave you with this. There's been a lot of emphasis in recent years on the idea of self-care. And self-care absolutely is important, especially now. But isn't it amazing and kind of beautiful that one of the best ways to practice self-care might be taking steps to care for others? Okay, so I want to finish by responding to a question that I got recently. And the question was, how do we help others who feel overwhelmed? So that's a pretty deep topic, but I will say some quick things on that. I think one of the best ways to help people who are feeling overwhelmed is not to be overwhelmed yourself. There's this idea that you can't pour from an empty cup, or that you have to put on your own oxygen mask first. Pick your metaphor. But there's another idea in there too, which is this phenomenon that psychologists call emotional contagion. Human beings basically catch the emotions of other people in proximity to them. And I apologize for the name. That is the correct term, but it's not really fun to talk about contagion right now. So why don't we just call it the ripple effect? Because your emotional state sort of ripples out to affect the people around you. What that means is that if you are stressed and anxious, you can't help putting that out into your environment, and other people will feel it. Whereas if you are practicing gratitude, generosity, goodwill, and you are feeling the well-being that comes from that, other people will feel a measure of that. Another thing that I think is helpful is to realize that sometimes people aren't asking for solutions. They're not asking, what can I do about this? They're not asking you to try and assuage their worries with facts and figures and counter-arguments. Sometimes people just want to be heard. And all they want to hear back is, that sounds really hard, or I can relate to that, or I'm so sorry you're feeling that way. Is there some way that I can help? I think that's just helpful to bear in mind. So that brings us to the end. And now you've got a toolkit of easy, effective ways to boost your mood and well-being. I know these are challenging times, and I really hope these practices are helpful for you. Please stay safe and take care.